Welcome to Business on Top, where women are building empires, becoming breadwinners, and redefining the dynamics of their households without a playbook. I'm Kaeli Lindholm, mom, wife, founder, and leadership advisor to a portfolio of female-owned businesses generating over $100 million in annual revenue. Most business advice was never designed for women leading and building at this level. That's why each week I'll open the vault and share a leadership lesson from real experience, so you can navigate the decisions you're making every day with confidence. If you are a serious female founder and leadership feels messy right now, you're in the right place. We are rewriting the rules for this next era of how women lead and build. This is Business on Top. Let's go. Hello, and welcome back to Business on Top. Today's conversation is a little different, but it's one that I think is incredibly important and often not talked about enough. This is business lesson number 3. And it's really about the role that partnership plays in the life of a woman who is building at a high level. Because one of the things I've been observing both in my own life and in the lives of founders that I work with is that as women step more fully into leadership, as they build companies, create wealth, and expand their capacity, the dynamics inside of their relationships start to evolve as well. And in many ways, we are stepping into something that doesn't have a clear model. For a long time, there were more defined roles, more understood expectations, a clearer sense of who carried what. And today, that's shifting. Women are leading, earning, building, deciding, often at a level that changes the structure of the household itself. And what I've seen is that this creates both opportunity and tension, because partnership doesn't just automatically evolve alongside you. It requires communication, it requires clarity, and it requires a willingness on both sides to step into something new without always having a roadmap for what that looks like. One of the biggest gaps I see is that many women are expecting support without fully articulating what that support actually looks like. And on the other side, partners are trying to show up, but don't always have the context, the language, or the framework to do it in a way that truly lands. So what ends up happening is misalignment. And this is why I wanted to bring this conversation onto the podcast. What you're about to hear is a panel we hosted at Alt Experience, where we brought husbands into the conversation. This wasn't as an afterthought, but as an essential part of the ecosystem that supports a woman building at a high level. Your business doesn't exist in a vacuum, and the quality of your partnership will either expand your capacity or quietly limit it. This conversation is honest, it's nuanced, and I think it's going to give you a new lens on what it actually looks like to build not just a business, but a life that can hold it. Let's get into it. Leadership lesson number 3. When the business grows, your relationship has to evolve. You heard me talk about this new shift in the world today, and the way that we lead, this new era of leadership. And part of that shift is our calling as powerhouse business leaders and women to also continue to be excellent in all the areas of our life, including being moms, being friends, being daughters, being all of the roles that we play. We wear so many hats. I also asked the room, how many of you are the breadwinner in your family? And about half of your hands went up. And probably many more of you can and will become the breadwinner if you so choose to. These dynamics have shifted so incredibly quickly. We talked about the 70s when women couldn't apply for a credit card without a cosigner. We talked about the fact that they could get fired if they got pregnant. In a blink of an eye, here we are. What also is shifting just as dramatically is the role of the partner in this whole dynamic as well. And while we haven't changed in terms of the way our DNA is built to continue to be nurturers, you found these? Well, you know a lot more about me now, don't you? She went in my room. You know what it's going to look like. It's fine. I prefaced this before. But I think too, as I was sharing this story and kind of going on my monologue this morning, my husband was standing in the back of the room watching me just because he was like, I'm going to come by and support you. He works here in Newport Beach. And I thought it's funny because we've had these conversations at home about his also sort of desire to support me and what I'm doing. And now what does that mean for him? Some of you have spouses who have their own businesses. Some of you have spouses who work. Some of you have spouses who stay home and take care of the family and the house. Some of you have, all kinds of different partnerships. I don't know, all the things going on. But all of it plays a role. And we even talked about scenarios where we don't necessarily have the support of our spouse, and that while we feel really confident and excited about our potential and how we want to invest into our companies and how we want to grow in our lives, it's sometimes hard to enroll somebody into that vision who doesn't totally understand where we're coming from. And so I thought it would be remiss of me to have this alt conference that's so focused on this shift in society without having a hearsay from the husbands themselves. Hey. Who asked me about husbands today already? I was like, keep my mouth shut. I got you, girl. I got you. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hi.
Thanks, Kaeli.
Hi.
Thank you.
How are we feeling here?
I feel like The Bachelor.
Okay, exactly what I expected from James Fox here.
The Golden Bachelor.
Yeah. Right.
So these are like three of the most well-known injector husbands that you guys probably don't even know how famous you are.
No.
We talk about you get bragged on, all of you, very much.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So I would love to start by I'm going to let each of you introduce yourselves.
Okay.
And we'll start there.
I'm James Fox. Meg Fox is my wife from Meg Fox Aesthetics in Annapolis, Maryland.
So, Kaeli, to your point, I'm Lauren's husband. That's how I'm referred to nowadays, aka George Castellanos, and my wife, Lauren Timpi Castellanos at Omnia PL.
Very nice. Very good.
I should have put the wives at one table because I have to look at their faces now. I'm like, okay, ping, 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 ping. Okay.
I'm just glad she's sitting over there so I could do nothing. I'm Brett Fletcher. I'm Leslie's husband. And I did 30 years in law enforcement, and I'm more nervous now than I've ever been. But no, I'm just thank you for inviting us. This is great.
No, I'm so excited, and this has been on the docket, this panel, since last year alt. And Leslie messaged me on Instagram about thinking about putting a retreat together for couples in business together, and I'm like, you guys have to come to this. And I will say, does anybody not know who it? Do you guys have you seen Brett Fletcher? Do you guys see what he does for her? Okay, so right. So I kind of want to share my relationship with the three of you. So James, we have not had a chance to meet,
No.
But I know you so well because I know your wife. And you are her eye candy, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
And you get her Diet Coke.
All the time.
Yes. And she's very proud of you.
Thank you.
And she loves going on vacation with you.
Yes, we like to travel together.
Yeah, you guys like to travel together.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some situations where I like to consider myself, I don't have a degree in therapy, but if I was to fake it, I could definitely make it. I had the privileged opportunity of working with Lauren privately. Lauren is my injector, and then we've also worked. She became my injector because after working with them, I fell in love with her work, just her business mind and skill, and what their whole business was all about. So, Dr. George is a doctor, happens to have a cardiology practice, and I think what started working privately with Lauren, and then we would have lunch with George and his paper bag on Zoom calls, and he was like, what are you girls talking about? Because Lauren comes home and she's crying about stuff, and there's all these emotions about employees, but the numbers are right here, Kaeli. I'm telling you, this is really simple. And I was like, okay, let me mediate, and I'm gonna talk boy and girl here in numbers and emotions, and it was so fun working with you guys.
Yeah.
So
I miss those sessions.
you do. I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. We need to rekindle. Now price has gone up.
There you go. Yeah.
And Brett, I met you at Octane a couple years ago. We sat down and had lunch together. Well, not you and I, Leslie and you and I and Shannon, I believe, and at the table. And Leslie was like finishing up a bite from her plate, and then she kind of put it to the side, and you went over and got her the dessert and a coffee. And I was like, wow, dream hubs right there. And then you posted something, Leslie, of him just carrying your bags, like, and it was, you have got him trained so well. So we need a class on that. Yeah, so trained. All of these men happen to be married to multi-million-dollar business earners. And we talked this morning before you all were here about our sort of relationship with these societal kind of gender roles changing and the shift in the world today for women building businesses, and also the role that men play to support them. And I know my husband's on his toes, just like trying to keep up with the next thing. I think we've talked about everybody here has a different sort of need or support structure from their husband. And I wanted to kind of open up this dialogue and conversation for us all to get some feedback from you about how we can be great wives, what you're thinking about having a successful wife, how you support her through the ups and downs and turbulence of entrepreneurship. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation, and I'm going to reiterate. So there were some questions that came up this morning I'll ask on behalf, but also if you guys have private questions, you can text those. Otherwise, please, like usual, feel free to ask some questions. But I'll kind of open up the first question to all of you in the group. So, which is, from your perspective, what does help you feel included in the journey of your partner's business growth? And if you want, in part of answering that question, you can talk about how you're involved in the business, if you so are as well. Let's start.
I'll go ahead and start. We're probably have all three different stages in life. Like for me, I'm retired, so our kids are grown. We don't have kids in the house, so it's just Leslie and I. I get to travel with her, so she does a lot of training. I set up all of her training. I help with the flights, the hotel reservations. That's my job. I'm basically her personal assistant. So, but that's the stage in life I'm at. I've already had my career. It's over. So I'm very involved. She has two companies, the training company and the clinic. I do all the payroll. I do all the bills, and just make sure things go day to day. So I'm very involved in it, and she lets me be involved in it, and it's great. So yeah.
You are very included.
And I've also been there since, she started before Botox even was out, so in early 2000s. So I've seen this, your guys' field of medicine grow, and I've been involved in it. So it's been good to be involved in it since the start. So I've got to build relationships with people and stuff. So
yes, yeah. Love that. Very cool. Dr. George.
See, so I started helping Lauren to just launch the business, but as you mentioned, sort of my role kind of evolved. I don't really have a title per se, but I was thinking about this. What would I be? And it's have you guys watched this movie, The Devil Wears Prada?
Oh yeah.
So Lauren's like Miranda, right? And I'm the assistant, because what Lauren does is she comes up with ideas, and then she says, just get it done, George. I don't care how it needs to happen, just get it done. So whether it means drafting contracts, whether it means getting, the cleaning facilities to actually go and clean the places correctly and make sure they're dusting behind the bottles, whatever it is. So it really is more of a supporting role, because as you mentioned, so I'm a physician, so I have my own practice, I'm busy with that. So I can't be the face of the company by any means, and you wouldn't want me to do it anyway. So, but I'm very good at thinking about things, working with the numbers, and really being behind the scenes. So that's really my role. So the way that I support Lauren as best I can is in that capacity. It's say, hey, hon, you come up with ideas, you figure all that stuff out, and I will do my best to help you get there.
And you're her medical director as well.
And I'm her medical director.
Oh.
Yes.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. In Maryland, I'm not a physician, but we have to have somebody on. We have a friend that is our medical director. So I was going to ask you that.
I mean, same thing in California, right? For medical spas, it's actually even the business structure and such. It makes it a lot easier if I'm the medical director. So like I've been involved in all the trainings and I know how to do all this. But as I tell Lauren, it really is. I mean, we joke around about it, but it's like, you know, Miranda is very good at coming up with great ideas, right? So, and that's what she does. But like, I will not make you balanced, right? You're gonna look like you have ptosis if I do neuromodulators. But Lauren's very good at it. But anyway, I know how to do all that. And I'm also called if there's an emergency. I can prescribe medications, and you know, I'm doing that while I'm trying to save someone's life with a heart attack. But
and your comedy show at night.
Yes. That's I'm sure another question about family life. But
okay, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
And how about for you, James? How do you feel included in Meg's business growth?
Well, unlike these two gentlemen, they're very involved with the day-to-day. Meg wears many hats, right? So the only thing I can offer is just support mentally, you know, and just be there to get the Diet Cokes, to get the lunches, run products to and from the one location to the other. If they need syringes here, if they need this there, I need Botox here. I mean, some of her competitors will call and say, hey, do you have anything that sure, and I'll run that over to them. So, you know, I'm not involved in the day-to-day at all. You know, I have my own business as well, but my business allows me the flexibility and freedoms to be available to her. So for instance, I get up, I do all I get all the kids ready for work, or school rather, and, you know, I make sure that I'm available for them in the afternoons, and then obviously dinners and hockey practices and all of that stuff. So we can talk more about that later, but obviously that role you talk about with the women, now, you know, I'm the stay-at-home dad with a real estate hobby, right? So, but it's fun. I mean, watching her grow and being a part of that is wonderful.
Love that. What are ways women can communicate the pressure they are carrying so it strengthens the relationship instead of creating distance? I know a lot of times, right, men want to fix. So how do we navigate that?
I always tell Leslie, just like, tell me what you want. Like, we kind of have a routine, but sometimes I don't do that routine. But just to tell me what she needs, tell me her needs. And just like communicate, and so I think that's the big thing. It's just like I'll do it. I just need to know what you want me to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for me, I have to guess what it is that she needs. So I don't know. I mean, we've been married for 12 years. I mean, it feels like 50, but I still can't read minds. But I try. I honestly try.
She has good Botox.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. But she's verbal about it as well. So, yeah. Anyway.
All right, James. How can women communicate the pressure they're carrying so it strengthens the relationship instead of creating distance?
Well, you know, Meg and I do have a good foundation. We're very regimented. You know, we have every day is very routine. But, you know, I'm the soundboard for her. So, you know, if the staff isn't doing this or the staff's doing that, and the bickering and the da-da-da, you know, so I listen. I just listen, and I listen, and I listen. And I listen some more.
Okay.
You know, so I just, you know, I try to offer some insight. You know, obviously she's doing what she's doing, and I think it's amazing. But that's the only thing I can really offer her, is just being a strong soundboard. And obviously I listen to you, and I listen to the talks with the girls sometimes. So when she's on the couch or the chair in the bedroom, I'm sitting in the bed just eavesdropping, and, you know.
There's the answer, ladies. Kaeli's videos.
Well, one second. So, I mean, joking aside, I think that, because you made me think about something, what ends up happening oftentimes with Lauren and I, especially when there's issues like that, especially me as the medical director, is that I have found that oftentimes when we have conversations or there's issues that deal with other people, it's very much directed towards me. And they assume that because I'm the physician maybe, or the male, it really is. I mean, we have theories about it, but nonetheless, a lot of these negotiations or these discussions where I'm involved, I'm it seems like I'm the one who is in charge making the decisions. And what I've done more and more over the years is to remind not only her, but the people around us that like Lauren is the one who calls the shots. So, we have a bunch of employees and I always remind them that Lauren will make the decision and I will support her decision. And it's interesting how often I have to tell reps, banks, landlords that it's what Lauren wants. So even though it goes through me and it's because I'm so involved, it really is what Lauren wants. And me having to verbalize, it's interesting that I have to say it so often.
Yeah. I remember a story. We had a DNP we worked with, and she, beautiful blonde, and she was sitting down with the bank to go sign up some loan paperwork, and she's just like waiting for the meeting, and the guy, she's like, "Are we gonna get started?" And the guy's like, "We're waiting for the doctor." Mm-hmm. And she said, "No, I'm the doctor." Like she was she was the trophy wife to sit there or something.
We see it a lot too, and I don't come from that type of background. I wasn't raised that way, so I think it's wonderful to be surrounded by so many beautiful women that are powerful and independent, right?
Yeah.
I hope to see another 60 or 70 people next year, you know what I mean? So it's wonderful. I just don't treat women like that. I certainly don't treat her like that, but I do see that, and that's one thing that gets her goat so bad, right? It's like so, and I'm not like you, I'm not involved every day. I'm not in it every day. But she'll come home and tell me like this or that. And, I do get involved with the landlords. If I have to go out and meet with them or discuss some of the leasing stuff, I still trying to tap into that, right? But I'm like, I'm not who you think I am, right? Meg is the boss, so.
So a question came up this morning in conversation about the challenge when, for example, and I'm not sure if it's a medical director husband, but the husband has his own business, but is her sounding board, right? And so she feels like she knows what she wants and needs to make a decision in the business, but then she's also always coming home to him at night complaining about stuff. And so he's like, well, you're complaining, so I'm gonna fix this. And, kind of wanting to come in and like make the decision for her. How would somebody in that kind of a position, how would you advise her to enroll her husband into understanding and seeing the value in what she's trying to present to him?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I can tell you, again, I think it's probably obviously different for every individual, right? But with Lauren and I, for me, it's kind of Jim was mentioning, it's a lot of listening for sure, because I have my own business that I run, right? And I have my own thoughts about how I run my business. And I'm trying not to transfer those expectations to her business. So specifically for Lauren, and also knowing her personality, it's a matter of being able to listen, be able to ask, like, what is it that you need? Oftentimes, what she asks is not what she actually wants, right? So for me, it's a lot of patience and letting the process sort of play out. Lauren can be very impatient. She wants things done very quickly. So being able to, look, let's just let things die out. Like, I'm gonna hear you out. How can I support you? This is what I think I should do. What do you think? And give her the opportunity to basically say, no, I don't want you to do that, or I want you to do this. And unless it's something that I'm really uncomfortable with, I go ahead and do it. But being able to be sort of like the super assistant for Lauren. And I think she likes that. So I don't know, that works.
Yeah, you've seen that comedian that says, I work for my wife, I've been fired twice, and she keeps hiring me back, right? Yeah, so I'm like that. But no, I agree with you. I'm completely outside the realm of what you guys offer to your wives, but the only thing I can do is just, again, I try to, I listen, and I'll say, I'll give my input. It may not be right, but at least I need to keep her calm. So I need to calm her, and we're polar opposites, right? But we enjoy some of the same things, but she's very type A, very in the far left lane, going 120 miles an hour. And I can be that way too, but we have a balance. And I think I need to find that balance with her and calm her and just, because you guys, these women, they're working 24/7. This gentleman here is a cop. Once a cop, always a cop, right? So he's never out of uniform, even though he's retired. I'm sure when he was wearing the belt or the badge, his mind never stops. Like even when he's off duty, right? So he's just constant. Like these women are just constantly working. If they're not in the office, they're on a call, or they're listening to you, or they're sharing ideas, they're listening, it's incredible. I mean, it's wonderful. I just, and I'll just peek my head in. You okay? Here's a Diet Coke. It's that easy, but so that's.
So let's to kind of go back to the advice for her, because she could calm herself, I guess, but she can't control how her husband is responding. He really is trying to protect her, but she's trying to advocate for herself.
So was the question, does he work like in the office, or is he?
He has his own business, okay. And the business has they've been in business for 80 years. If anyone wants to speak up, they can, but I'm just speaking on your behalf. It's a business that's been around for 80 years. So he sees the business world in a certain way.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Not a founder, like bootstrap, growing from the ground up. So I think they're just polarizing perspective, or different perspectives. Yeah.
I don't mind speaking up.
Okay.
So my husband, his family business has been around for 80 years.
Okay.
So he has an in-house CFO. He has an in-house HR department. He has an in-house, sales team, everything. And I'm a small business, small but mighty. But I wear all those hats.
Yeah.
And so, I think to speak to what Kaeli's talking about is I have been learning from Kaeli for the last 3 years. I really would love to join the Pop Leadership Academy, but it is an investment. And because we're still in the first 5 years of business, I do have a lot of debt. There is no doubt about that. And I think once we get ahead of that, he'll probably be more on board. But even coming to this weekend, he's like, well, I don't know what you're going to learn this weekend, but I hope you like it. Mm-hmm. And he texted me today, how's the conference? And I said, it's amazing. I love being here. I know it's hard to understand the ROI, but there's something to say about being in a room full of women who can relate to you and have shared the same struggles. And so I hope that gave him some sort of light bulb moment, perhaps, to understand why this is important to me. But he is a fixer. He's an amazing husband, by the way. And he does give me very sound business advice, because he is also very seasoned in family, emotions, keeping certain things separate. So he does ground me that way. But I think to Kaeli's question is just how do you, I guess when you disagree or when you see a red flag or you're trying to protect your wife, I guess how do you handle that? Maybe?
Go ahead.
I think it depends on what his relationship is with the office, the people in the office. So he has to have a stake in there, so he has to be, the employee, if it's an employee issue or something, he has to have already been involved. You can't just come in, try to fix it, and then exit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of the problem, is that he has a lot of opinions, but he really isn't hands-on in the business. So he'll tell me how to make decisions, and I've said, but you don't know, you don't see the big picture. You don't know everything that's been going on. So I don't want to make him sound like he's a horrible person, because he's not. Yeah, well, and my goal wasn't to pick on you or him either. I think that these are, I have this is why we're here, because I have conversations like this routinely, and I've dealt with this myself as well. It's uncharted territory, ladies. This is new stuff. And so there's the one part of, I want to advocate for myself. I was telling the story, I just walked in finally one day and I was like, I'm building this thing and you're going to get on board. And that's that. And I just basically told him, yes.
Jumping off of what you guys just said. So I think one thing that's interesting, my husband is a physician as well. He's an employee. And the mindset of someone who's an entrepreneur versus the mindset of someone who is an employee is so different. Your husband sounds like he works in a family business. He didn't start that business. So for him, an entrepreneur mindset is a mindset where I'm going to take a risk, and the risk is worth it for the reward that I'm going to get out. And I had an experience about maybe a year and a half ago. I wanted to make some changes to our business, and it was something I was really struggling with. It was took me about a year to really come up with my plan. And my husband was a huge support to me, and he's always listening to me, as you guys have said. And when I finally decided to do it, he was like, well, hang on a second. Like, are you sure? You know, and he was like trying to convince me not to do this thing. And I, you know, was explaining to him, I was like, I really feel like I'm at the edge of a cliff and I have to jump off. I have to take the risk and try. And so I feel like that is, I'm curious to hear about all of your perspective on, you know, have you noticed like differences in like level of risk taking and how do you feel comfortable with that and how you guys handle that dynamic?
I mean, I can tell you, it's interesting. So I believe that I am not, I don't take huge risk. I'm very much risk averse. That's my personality, right? But people will see some of the stuff that I do as risky. But what I tell them is that it's a calculated risk. There are guardrails. So this is what I would recommend, right? In my opinion. But first of all, I think you have to advocate for what you want. I think it's a discussion, right? Unfortunately, because of the gender, power, societal dynamics, I think it makes it difficult, right? Oftentimes, Lauren is a nurse, I am a doctor. We met, this is a great story for another day, but we met at the hospital where she was a critical care nurse, and I was the cardiology fellow, right? So technically above her, right? And it was always that kind of dynamic. I'm the doctor, she's the nurse, she's supposed to do what I say. And I think that it was important for her to be able to really advocate what you wanted to do. And what I've learned to do in that regards is, again, with the responsibilities I have in the business, is have guardrails and say, okay, you want to buy this or you want to do that. Well, this is sort of what we need to do to get there. Whether I agree with it or not is actually not an issue. That's not my decision. It's like, I will say, yes, you want to hire more people? Okay, well, this is what it would look like. This is what we would need to do. I may completely disagree with it, but again, that is not my role. And I've had to learn that. And it's not like Lauren taught me that. As you mentioned, it's a little bit to do with risk taking, and I'm also an entrepreneur, so I kind of get a sense that I would want that respect from her as well. But maybe it's a matter of you being able to say, hey, like, this is what I want. I need you to just maybe give me sort of guardrails or guidelines, but it's my decision. And as you said, like, this is what I want to do. You're on board or you're not. And then but really be tough about it. So.
And by that, I mean you're on board.
Yeah.
Great.
So I'm curious, like, what is something about this journey of being a partner with this, like, blossoming, beautiful, brilliant entrepreneur wife that most people wouldn't understand?
It's very humbling. It's very humbling. I get ragged on. My boys rag me all the time about it, you know. I won't say what they call me, but yeah, and I'm like, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, I don't mind. It took me a long time to kind of surrender to the idea that this is real, you know. I mean, when we made that jump and made that leap from when she was working at Mercy Hospital to say, you know, I'm capped at my salary level. Like, well, I've got this. The one thing she had was most people want to start a business. She had already had the business. We just did brick and mortar, so we just, while she was still working, looking for a place, and it just happened, right? So it was easy to make just one Instagram post, and then boom. It was so exciting to hear the phones ring, and, you know, after construction was done and all that. But that was wonderful. So as we're doing this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, you know. So we actually sat down and we talked about what my role will be, and it's very humbling for a man, and an ego trip to be like, okay, you're going to be the support system. I'm going to be the support system too, but not the financial support system, you know. So interesting enough with this young lady here, with her husband, recently we donate money to play golf with some friends, right? So we do this every year with a friend, and the guy, for whatever reason, had other people showing up that were a med spa and this and that, right? We're like, well, wait a minute, we want to be exclusive, right? So anyway, we didn't do it this year. The guy somehow got wind that we were not doing it, and why, so we tried to call. And when he called my wife to say, hey, I'm so sorry, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect that, you know, I know you have this hobby, right? In a sentence, he said hobby. So to this young lady here, right, so there she is. So her husband has a successful business, right? And he's, you know, I'm not taking away from him, but this is not her, it's not her hobby, it's her passion. So I would like to see him support that more. Like this guy, you know, and I have to laugh because I'm like, you know, I don't know what kind of hobby makes that kind of money, right? but So going back to what you said, it's almost like you need to put your foot down and be like, this is something, this is real. This is what I do. This is what I love. And have that conversation with him, just like with Meg. And we had that conversation a few years back. Even when she was, I had my mortgage company at the time before the implosion of '08. But, so it was touch and go all the time. But she was always a steady ace, right? And we knew the ultimate goal. And I was like, okay, it's still very humbling. I still have to surrender to the idea that,
Yeah.
you gotta tone it back a little bit, because by nature men are supposed to be the supporters, the out hunting, right? I'm gonna go out of the cave and I'm gonna hunt for buffalo, yeah. Well, now I just go out of the cave and hunt for a Diet Coke and come back, right?
Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah.
And you guys are the ones who are laying the groundwork for the future. This field of medicine is so new that a lot of people don't even know about it. So you guys are the people who are starting it out, and a lot of husbands don't realize that and don't know that. So
Well, and how serious it is. This is medicine. This is a medical practice. It's not a hobby.
like my mom still calls it the shop. Like,
Okay.
you go into down to the shop today? It's like, no,
That's
it's
cute.
Right. Right. People have no idea. People have no idea.
Right. Let's go here for a second. What's something you've always loved about your partner that stayed constant even as the business has grown?
Actually, I was reading the questions before and I saw that one. I really like that one because Leslie has always stayed the same. Like she, when we go to conferences, she always looks for the people that are sitting on the outside, like, and try to bring them in. She's always been for the underdog, and she's never changed who she's been over, the 30-some years we've been married. So yeah, it's yeah. So she's never changed. She's
Husband
like the same.
points.
What's that?
Husband points.
Yep.
Husband points.
Yeah, so to parlay off of that, there's a lot of haters in the industry. What I've noticed a lot of, and with Meg, she's always been this steady ace, right, and always worked hard and is always very giving. And even the haters that will call to meet if they need something, she's always there for them, always, right?
Well, you are.
Well, yeah, but and
You're on the way
might
with
be
the
a strong
Botox.
word, but I'm sure every woman in here has dealt with that in some fashion. They're just that but she's always there.
Meg had the cake gate. Someone, what was that? I can't remember the full story. Someone got mad about your cake.
The person I used to make all my cakes sign an exclusive that they would only make cakes for them and not for Meg.
Bake cakes, bakery.
She's like, what?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it was an interesting question because, there's things that have changed in our relationship that I really appreciate now that I didn't appreciate before. But if I have to think about, I would say, honestly, I think Lauren, despite her popularity and her fame and her success, she always takes care of me. Yeah, which I do appreciate.
Yeah, I
sometimes
do
she
too.
has her own way of doing it.
Yep. Oh yeah.
But she always takes care of me.
Yeah. Same with Miss Meg. I call her Miss Meg. She does the same thing.
And these ladies, flawless beauty, they never age.
Nor
How
do we.
lucky are you?
Nor do we.
Nor do you. We all are just frozen
So if there's
in
any new
time.
products, I'm like her guinea pig. I'm
If you are listening to this and something in you is stirring, I want you to know this is exactly where the work begins. This is the space between where you've been leading reactively and where you are being asked to lead from a new framework. And the truth is that next level of leadership doesn't come from more information. It comes from putting yourself in rooms and environments that challenge how you think, how you decide, and how you show up inside of your business. That's exactly why we built the Pop Leadership Academy. It's a space for founders who are no longer looking for surface level strategy, but who are ready to evolve how they lead, how they build, and how they scale so the businesses they create can fully support the life they want to live inside of. You can learn more about the Pop Leadership Academy and apply through the link in show notes. And in the meantime, get more inspiration delivered directly to your inbox through my weekly briefing, The Blueprint, at klcleadership.com/blueprint. Until next time, keep leading life first and business on top.